It was an unusually chilly Monday morning in Oakland, California. At Roosevelt High School, students were dragging their feet into class after the weekend, half asleep and glued to their phones. The last thing they expected was a substitute teacher, stepping into Mr. Green's PE class, especially one who looked like he'd just walked out of a retirement home. He wore oversized glasses, khaki pants pulled up too high, and a baggy sweater that didn't help his frail appearance. His voice cracked slightly when he introduced himself as Mr. Wards. "All right, class," he said, holding a clipboard with shaky hands. "Today we're going to play some basketball. I may be old, but I still know the basics." The students exchanged glances and tried not to laugh. A few couldn't help themselves. One tall junior, Malik, nudged his friend and said out loud, "Man, this dude's about to break a hip." Another added, "Hope there's a medic on standby." Mr. Wards just smiled calmly and walked them out to the outdoor court. The sun was out now, and the air carried the sharp smell of gym shoes and asphalt. The students grouped up and started playing 4-on-4, while the old man stood at half-court watching. Then, quietly, he stepped in. "Mind if I join?" he asked. This time the laughter was louder. "For real?" One of the students chuckled. "You want to play with us?" Mr. Wards nodded, holding an old basketball. "I just need a few minutes." Reluctantly, they let him join, mostly for their own amusement. "Okay, Gramps," Malik teased. "You guard me." The game started slow. Mr. Wards shuffled awkwardly at first, fumbling a few passes. The students relaxed until something shifted. He stole the ball mid-dribble from Malik with a clean swipe, spun past two defenders, and hit a perfect fadeaway jumper. The court fell silent. No one laughed now. He did it again on the next play, and again, with a series of flawless dribbles, ankle-breaking crossovers, and no-look passes. The old man was suddenly unstoppable. Whispers started spreading. "Wait, is that—" "Nah, can't be." But deep down, a few of them were starting to recognize the form, the finesse, the signature shot. The game was moving fast now, and the students were struggling to keep up. What had started as a joke was quickly turning into an embarrassing reality. Mr. Wards, who had been easily dismissed as an old man with no skills, was now dominating the court. His movements were smooth and precise, like he was gliding over the floor. He effortlessly made layups, hit deep three-pointers, and displayed a court vision that left the students baffled. Malik, who had been trash-talking just moments ago, now found himself panting, trying to keep up with his old opponent. Every time he thought he had a chance to block a shot, Mr. Wards pulled a move that left him in the dust. A slick crossover here, a behind-the-back pass there, and suddenly he was setting up an open teammate for an easy basket. "Yo, this dude's gotta be a pro," Malik muttered, staring in disbelief. His friend Aaron looked at him and nodded, mouth open in surprise. "Who is this guy? This is insane." But it wasn't just the students who were starting to take notice. A small crowd had gathered along the sidelines, watching in awe. Some had their phones out, recording every move. The gym teacher, Mr. Green, stood near the bench, his arms crossed, furrowing his brow as he tried to figure out what was happening. For the final play, Mr. Wards walked up to Malik, who was guarding him for the last shot. "You ready?" he asked with a sly grin. Malik, still unsure whether this was all some elaborate prank or if he was actually being outplayed by an elderly man, nodded nervously. The tension in the air was palpable. With a quick jab step, Mr. Wards broke free from Malik and, in a fluid motion, launched a perfect three-pointer from just beyond the arc. The ball soared through the air, spinning toward the hoop. Swish! The crowd went wild. The students were left staring, mouths agape, struggling to comprehend what had just happened. As the game came to a close, Mr. Wards casually dribbled the ball to half-court and stopped, smiling warmly at the stunned group of students. "All right, kids," he said, still with that calm, almost grandfatherly demeanor. "I hope you learned a few things today, but I've got to get going. I think I've overstayed my welcome." The students were still processing everything. None of them had ever expected to be so thoroughly outplayed by someone they assumed was a nobody. But as Mr. Wards began to walk off the court, Malik called out, his voice full of admiration. "Yo, you really are something else, man. For real. Who are you?" For a moment, Mr. Wards just smiled. He took off his glasses, pulled off his cap, and revealed his face, leaving the students in complete shock. "Stephen Curry," he said with a grin. The gym fell silent. The realization hit them all at once. Stephen Curry, the NBA superstar, the reigning MVP, and one of the best basketball players in the world, had just schooled them all. Some students gasped. Others couldn't believe their eyes. Malik dropped his jaw. "Wait, that was really you?" Stephen laughed, shaking his head. "Yeah, that was me. You guys seem to think I was just an old guy, huh? Glad to see I still got it." The realization that they had just been schooled by one of the greatest basketball players of all time took a moment to sink in. The students stood frozen, unable to believe what had just happened. Stephen Curry casually bounced the basketball on the court, the sound of the ball echoing in the now silent gym. The students, still trying to wrap their heads around it, stared at him in awe. "You guys thought I was just some old guy, huh?" Stephen chuckled, breaking the silence. "Well, I get it. I might not look like it, but I've been playing this game my whole life." Malik, who had been the most vocal about Mr. Wards being old, stepped forward. He hesitated for a moment, his face flushing with embarrassment. But then he took a deep breath and said, "Man, you really taught us a lesson today." Stephen nodded, his smile widening. "The game's not just about what you see on the surface. It's about heart, hard work, and never letting anyone tell you what you can't do. Whether you're young, old, or somewhere in between, the court's for everyone. I can't believe it was you the whole time." "Aaron, one of the quieter students added. "I've watched you on TV, man. You're a legend." Stephen grinned. "Thanks. But what's more important is that you all saw what matters today. Basketball isn't about age or looks or anything else like that. It's about passion, determination, and respect for the game and for each other." Malik nodded slowly, still in shock, but now with a deeper respect for what had just happened. He wasn't just embarrassed anymore, he was inspired. He turned to his friends, shaking his head. "Man, I was talking all that mess thinking this guy was a joke, but wow." Stephen raised a hand. "No hard feelings. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here to remind you that anyone can surprise you. Never judge someone just by what you see." As the class gathered around him, Stephen could see the shift in their attitudes. They weren't laughing anymore. There was respect in their eyes. They had learned something they didn't expect to. "I think you all need a little challenge," Stephen said, his voice light but serious. "How about I come back next week for a real game? You bring your A game, and let's see what happens." The students looked at each other, their faces lighting up. They were no longer dismissing him as a funny old guy. This was Stephen Curry, and they were getting a chance to play against him. As they began to gather their things, Stephen waved goodbye and started walking toward the exit. "I'll see you guys soon, and remember, never underestimate someone based on appearances, ever." The following week, word had spread fast. Roosevelt High School was buzzing with excitement. Social media was flooded with videos and photos of Stephen Curry dominating the basketball court in disguise. The students who had laughed at him were now the ones spreading the word to everyone they knew. They couldn't wait for the second match. This time, it would be different. On the day of the return game, the gym was packed. The students had been practicing hard all week, determined to give their best performance against the man who had humbled them just days before. It wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about respect, proving to themselves and to each other that they could rise to the challenge. As Stephen Curry walked into the gym, the students were waiting for him. This time with no mockery, no teasing, just determination and admiration. "All right, let's get this started," Stephen said, smiling as he walked to the center of the court. He could see the difference in their faces, confidence, focus, and a newfound respect. They weren't intimidated anymore. They were ready to show what they were made of. The game began, and this time, it wasn't just a lesson about basketball. It was about growth. The students played with heart and hustle, pushing each other to be better. Stephen Curry led the way, but he wasn't trying to dominate. He was mentoring them, showing them how to play with purpose, how to move without the ball, how to share the game with others. It was a lesson in sportsmanship and teamwork, something far more valuable than just winning. As the game came to a close, the score didn't matter. The students had given it their all, and Stephen had seen them grow right in front of his eyes. He could tell they were different now, not just in how they played basketball, but in how they saw themselves and each other. As the buzzer sounded, marking the end of the game, Stephen gathered the students around him, his arms spread wide. "You guys were amazing today. You fought hard, and you showed what real teamwork looks like. Don't ever forget this feeling, because it's not just about basketball, it's about life." Malik stepped forward, still sweating from the intense game. He extended his hand to Stephen. "Thanks, man. For real, you've changed the way we see things. You taught us way more than just how to play. You taught us to respect the game and each other." Stephen smiled and shook Malik's hand firmly. "That's what it's all about. Keep working hard, and remember, anyone can surprise you. Don't ever stop believing in yourselves." As the students left the gym that day, they were different. Not because they'd beaten Stephen Curry, but because they'd learned what it truly meant to respect the game, to never judge others, and to push themselves beyond their limits. Stephen Curry's lesson wasn't just about basketball, it was about life. And for the students of Roosevelt High, it was a lesson they'd carry with them forever. Stephen Curry is a shining example of how attitude can shape not only professional success, but also the impact a person has on the world around them. His journey is one of perseverance, resilience, and humility, going far beyond the basketball courts. Curry's life teaches us that achieving true success requires more than just technical skill or innate talent. The secret lies in a positive mindset, believing in yourself even when others doubt you, and never giving up, no matter the challenges. From the very beginning of his career, many doubted his potential. As the son of an NBA player, Stephen was constantly compared to his father and placed in a position where, no matter how hard he tried, he would always be seen as Del Curry's son and never as a talent in his own right. But he didn't let that get him down. Instead of hiding under his father's shadow, he used that as fuel to prove to himself and others that his potential was limitless. Curry didn't conform to labels. He worked tirelessly to become one of the greatest basketball players in history, despite not having the imposing physique that many other NBA athletes had. This is one of the most important lessons we can learn from Stephen Curry. Believe in your potential, even when the world doesn't. Curry was considered too small, too weak, and not athletic enough to play in the NBA. Yet, he showed that true greatness doesn't lie in physical strength alone, but in mental strength. His work ethic and positive attitude were key factors in overcoming any obstacle. But Curry's story isn't just about his skills on the basketball court. It's deeply connected to his attitude toward others and his humility. One of the most admirable aspects of Stephen Curry is the way he carries himself off the court. He's not just an exceptional athlete. He's also an exceptional human being. His humility, generosity, and empathy toward others are evident in his daily actions, the way he treats his teammates, his dedication to his family, and his work with charitable causes, all demonstrate an admirable character that goes beyond statistics and trophies. He is the perfect example that no matter the success we achieve, True greatness lies in how we treat others and how we use our platform to make a difference. Stephen Curry also teaches us the value of challenging expectations and not letting life's difficulties define who we are. When he was drafted by the Golden State Warriors, the team was in a rebuilding phase, and he was seen as a long shot.